Welcome to Paden Speaks. This is January 4th, 2018, and we're here today to talk about things the EU may expect from their future refugee overlords. And just a little background so that give you an idea. I've actually lived 4 years in the Middle East. 2 years of it was actually living and working abroad in Middle Eastern countries, so I'm not talking out of my butt. And the other 2 years was living on fortresses in the Middle East. One a German base in Afghanistan, another one an American base in Iraq. So it's not like I've never been to the area. I have nothing like that. I have been there. I've lived there. I worked there. Eaten with the people. Done all that crazy stuff. So things everybody already knows what's already happening in the EU. Things are going crazy, right? Muslim majorities are popping up all over the problem, which isn't a problem. I give two craps about your religion. But the problem, therein comes the problem later on when they want you to practice by their rules. Maybe not their religion, but whatever laws they want to pass, things like that. And just to kind of point that out, give you an idea of what it's like to live in a Muslim country. So, in the EU, everyone's equal, right? Except, well, I guess the refugees probably don't think that they're equal to the normal EU citizens because, they get whatever they want. But, give you an idea, in a Middle Eastern country, there's like several levels of class. You have obviously your natural born, predominantly, Muslim countries in the Middle East, so they're predominantly Muslims, right? So your Muslims are at top, which once again I don't care. But then you kind of have your second class citizens, which would be your really skilled labor. That would be kind of like the section I fell under. Your expats, your Europeans, the British, the Australians, Japanese, things like that. People, the people who keep the power on, the engineers, things like that. And then you have your third level of people. Those would be like the somewhat skilled labor from Pakistan, India, pretty much any third world country. They pretty much go there. Ethiopia, a lot of Africans go to work in the Middle East because, they think they can make a lot of money, and they can if, you don't get swept up into being sold, things like that. And then, you even have further down, you have the people that they bring into, like I know in some of those countries, they bring in people just to pick up the trash that the normal citizens will drop on the roads. And yeah, I could tell you stories, but well, that's not the point. Anyways, so you got a class system, and in that class system, your second tier citizens, they're treated more like an indifferent, by the top, right? So, you get the whatever looks. Now, third class citizens and stuff like that, they'll actually get assaulted, and I'm gonna link a whole bunch of articles in the description for. They are basically sold off to other people, and then they're told that they have to pay them money so that they can leave their country because they take their passports and things like that. So, this is something that the EU can expect, as refugee numbers grow at an exponential rate because birth rates, they can expect to become second and third class citizens and basically to be treated like crap in their own countries, which, well, I guess wouldn't be your country anymore then. But anyways, moving on. Next thing, couple things you could expect would be a majority, I wouldn't say all, not all, definitely not all, but a majority of the countries, they have very strict laws against pork, so no bacon, none of that good stuff anymore. And like I said, it's not all of them. Some countries allow Westerners to buy pork, but it's very few and far in between. And then another thing to expect is like stricter drug laws, like Amsterdam, places like that. Oh, that would go away in a heartbeat. That would be gone. They don't like that stuff, and some of the countries that have the strictest drug laws are Middle Eastern countries, along with like China, Laos, places like that, North Korea. Another thing that might happen is that if you go into some of these Middle Eastern countries, I know that they allow alcohol. Some of them do, but not all of them. Some of them do because they realize that alcohol brings in a significant amount of money, and they haven't ran out of oil yet, so they don't see a need for money. So you could expect some severe tightening on alcohol and things like that. And I know people are going to say, well, that's not always the case. But all you got to do is look at the UK, and other places in Europe where they have these Muslim no-go zones. And what do? First thing they do is once they get control of the area, they make it so women need to cover up. You can't sell pork here anymore. You can't sell alcohol. And if you do, we'll club you with a stick if you're lucky, and just might kill you or throw a grenade at you if you're in Sweden. So, it's things that I've seen living in other countries, like because it's illegal in other countries, and if you want to get alcohol, you can get real alcohol in those countries, but it costs a lot of money. But what you usually get is like some crap called Siddiqui, and it's a horrible, horrible rum, supposedly coming from the Philippines. But I would liken it more to like gut rot. Yeah, it's probably the worst alcohol you've ever drank in your life. Pork, yeah. The Muslim countries I was in, yeah, they had no pork whatsoever. And if you got caught with it, you could expect to be deported if you're lucky, and if not, spending time in jail. Drugs, that was another thing. I knew some people, I didn't know them directly. They worked at the installation I worked at that got caught with drugs, and yeah, they're currently serving a 20-year stint in jail for drugs. And it's not the place you want to be. It's a Muslim country after you've been selling drugs. And right. So, like I said, this is like a little series I'm gonna start. Things the EU can expect from their their future refugee overlords. Things that I've experienced living in those countries, and I thought I would share them. And eventually, I'll even share, some experiences from my 2 years on military fortresses. Give you an idea of the expert quality of materials we're working with here. And thank you for listening. I hope you come back.